مماتنا
يا حسين
مماتنا عزاؤنا لم نكن نبكي على طفل رضيع بل طفولات مدى الدنيا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عم يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون. كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون. ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نوباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا. إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا. إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا. إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا. رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا. يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا. ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا. إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. To dear brothers, sisters, and my elders, Assalamu alaikum, and a very, very Khushali Mubarak to you all. It's an auspicious occasion, and inshallah, I think the world is heading towards a positive vibe where normality is going to start taking place, where we are, inshallah, back in our centers again. And hopefully, these are one of the last few online programs that we will do, and inshallah, we can all be in person very soon. بحق Imam Ridha alayhi salam. With your permission, with the few minutes that I have, inshallah, we'll recite the manqabat in the honor of our 8th Imam, Imam Ali Ridha alayhi salam. Please recite a loud salawat wherever you are, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. हो शहर कोई भी दुनिया का मशहद की फिजा में रहता हूँ हो शहर कोई भी दुनिया का मशहद की फिजा में रहता हूँ मशहद में रहूं तो लगता है यूं शहर खुदा में रहता हूँ हो शहर कोई भी दुनिया का मशहद की फिजा में रहता हूँ ये सोच के अपनी सांसों का हर रात हिसार बनाया है ये सोच के अपनी सांसों का हर रात हिसार बनाया है मैं नाम रज़ा के सदक़े में मैं नाम रज़ा के सदक़े में दरबार रज़ा में रहता हूँ हो शहर कोई भी दुनिया का मशहद की फिजा में रहता हूँ और टुकड़े तेरे दस्तरखान से मैं जिस दिल से चुन कर लाया हूँ टुकड़े तेरे दस्तरखान से मैं जिस दिन से चुन कर लाया हूँ उस दिन से फिक्रे रिस्क नहीं उस दिन से फिक्रे रिस्क नहीं के तेरी अता में रहता हूँ हो शहर कोई भी दुनिया का मशहद की फिजा में रहता हूँ और देखूंगा मैं अपनी आँखों से रोजे पे पहुँच के मौला के देखूंगा मैं अपनी आँखों से रोजे पे पहुँच के मौला के बीमार जो उनके इश्क में था बीमार जो उनके इश्क में था अब मुल्क शिफा में रहता हूँ हो शहर कोई भी दुनिया का मशहद की फिजा में रहता हूँ और आखिरी शेर मक्ता का के दरकार नहीं कुछ और हमें बस इज़्न हजूरी मिल जाए दरकार नहीं कुछ और हमें बस इज़्न हजूरी मिल जाए इमरान के साथ में सफदर भी इमरान के साथ में सफदर भी मौला की सना में रहता हूँ हो शहर कोई भी दुनिया का मशहद की फिजा में रहता हूँ बर मोहम्मद व आली मोहम्मद सलवात Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. Once again, thank you so much for the team for inviting me over. It's a true honor to serve whenever possible, inshallah. May Allah accept all our ibadat, inshallah. And with that, I will take your leave. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
मौला रजा या रजा मौला रजा मौला रजा मौला रजा या रजा मौला रजा मौला रजा मौला रजा या रजा मौला रजा मौला रजा मौला रजा
All right, okay. Ready? Should we start? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Dear sisters and brothers and little ones and younger ones and youth, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you are keeping well. And congratulations on the birth anniversary of Imam Ridha alayhi salam. What a special occasion. I'm sure Imam Ridha for many of you has been perhaps one of the important aspect of your identity. Maybe if you had trips to visit his shrine, that may have been a very happy or special occasion for you. For me, it's very much like that. I have very beautiful memories of my childhood, spending it in the shrine. Even later on, as I became more mature, as I became an adult with so much wisdom and experience, I think still I've had many great experiences there. It's a very beautiful and spiritual environment. Of course, you know, the attribution of the place to Imam Ridha, the amount of people who go there with sincerity, with their beautiful spiritual energy, and you know, you really feel like you can experience the presence of God if you're focused there. So, great occasion, the Wiladat of Imam Ridha alayhi salam, and I feel very blessed and lucky and honored to be able to speak to you today for a short time. I think the organizers have told me that I have a very short time today, so we won't be able to delve very deeply into the topic. In this 2 hours that I have, I'll try to just maybe introductorily speak about some of the issues. Sorry, what? It's not 2 hours. How much then? 30 minutes. And 3 minutes is already gone. Okay, so it seems like I have less than what I thought. So maybe we can just read some hadiths from Imam Ridha alayhi salam together and reflect on them, if you agree. One of my favorite hadiths from Imam Ridha alayhi salam, I've spoken about it a few times, although today I'm going to speak about it in a new angle. Is this one, this hadith. Imam Ridha says, Rahimallah abdan ahya amrana. So Imam is saying, bless be the person. It's saying that this kind of person that Imam is describing is good. Bless them for doing that. It's a great work they're doing. Who? Rahimallah abdan, who does what? Ahya amrana, who revives our affair. Okay? Ahya amrana, revives our affair. Okay. So Imam is saying basically, well done, blessed be the person who revives our affairs, works in trying to establish our affairs. Now, what is amrana that Imam Ridha is speaking about, our affair? What does it mean to revive the affair of, for example, Imam Ridha and the Ahl Bayt? The rest of the hadith explains it. It says, يَتَعَلَّمُ عُلُومَنَا وَيُعَلِّمُهَا النَّاسِ. So he learns our the wisdom that we've shared, the knowledge that's there. He learns it and shares it with other people, right? So a great aspect of what the Ahl Bayt have left us is their knowledge. And Imam here is saying, well done to the person. Blessed be the person who goes and learns this knowledge and shares it with others. But there's a very important point here that if we don't pay attention to, we may spend so much energy thinking we're doing this, the learning and the sharing, whereas we're still not doing what Imam wants from us. And that's what comes at the end of the hadith. Imam says, فَإِنَّ النَّاسِ لَوْ عَلِمُوا مَحَاسِنَ كَلَامِنَا لَاتَّبَعُونَا. Imam says, see, if you want to know whether you're doing it right or not, there's a beautiful sign if you're getting it right. Why is that? Imam says, if people really see the beauty of what we're saying, they will have no trouble accepting it, no trouble following it, right? In other words, if you've done your job, what job? Of learning our knowledge and sharing it with people. If you do this well, it's naturally going to result in people liking it, wanting it, right? And following it as a result of that. I think this last bit here in the hadith is very important. فَإِنَّ النَّاسِ لَوْ عَلِمُوا مَحَاسِنَ كَلَامِنَا لَاتَّبَعُونَا. Why is it so important in my humble opinion? Because I have a feeling, and I want to be honest with you, I have a feeling that a lot of people are sincerely trying to learn and share, but we have very few cases in which we get to the last part. And that is telling me that perhaps we're not doing it correctly. We don't spend enough time on finding ways to bring the beauty of the teachings of Ahl Bayt out, right? There's so much gem there. There are so many treasures in these beautiful tradition that we've been lucky to have received from the Ahl Bayt. But I feel like in the way we go to this ocean to bring out its pearls, we're not doing a good job. And why am I thinking that? Because Imam had told us that if you do a good job, everyone would love it. Everyone would appreciate it. But right now we see that that's not the case. We don't know how to show this beauty to other people. We don't know how to share the treasures which are in this tradition with other people, whether beautiful our brothers and sisters from other schools or even other religions, right? We don't really know how to communicate this beauty that we feel and experience here. And I think this is an area in which we really need to work harder. We really need to work more to be able to articulate what is it here that's beautiful. Okay, we love Imam Ridha alayhi salam. We love Imam Ali. We love Imam Hussein. Beautiful. They're making our life better. Beautiful. But in what ways? How? And we need to be able to articulate these, learn ways of trying to communicate this in a way that anyone without any background of even knowing the Imam would hear that and be like, oh, this is beautiful. I love this. I relate to this. I would like to accept this, right? Because that's what the Imam says. فَإِنَّ النَّاسِ لَوْ عَلِمُوا مَحَاسِنَ كَلَامِنَا لَاتَّبَعُونَا. This is an area in which I, after the limited time that I have been, since I've joined the Hose, I don't know, it hasn't been that long, maybe 16, 17 years, perhaps a little bit more, a little bit less, because, people have been in this tradition for decades. My share of being in the Hose has been perhaps 16, 17, 15 years, I don't know, something in that. In this little time that I have been, joining the Hose, trying to learn and trying to share the little that I have found with people, I have seen that we actually suffer in this regard. Why do we suffer? Because one of the mistakes I think we're making is that we feel like the job is done. We feel like all we need to do is, for example, go memorize what the Imam says, read all the books, memorize, get an understanding of it, check the authenticity, everything, and then come and give that to people. And that's it. That's our job, right? I see this happening in a lot of groups, in a lot of communities, in a lot of lectures. They go listen to read a few hadiths, or maybe even study 10 years, 15 years. They go and study the hadiths and everything, and they come and they think that, okay, I just need to say this hadith to people and that's it, done. Just yesterday, to refresh my memory, I was like, let me watch a few lectures on Imam Ridha, quickly, like skip through them, just to refresh my memory. And I saw, still after all these years, the same attitude is going on. Like, for example, there was one lecture on Imam Ridha's advice for how not to be sad, something like that. And he was mentioning one of Imam Ridha's hadith, the whole lecture, like maybe 45 minutes. The whole 45 minutes, he just mentioned one hadith about from Imam Ridha, in which Imam Ridha is saying, for example, this is a very good group of people, and he mentions 4 qualities of them, right? This, and that. The person mentioned these 4 and started talking about it without actually any detail, without any analysis, without any psychological, insight. He just said, for example, yes, if you want to be happy in life, be grateful, for example, perform repentance, that's it. And now, by the way, I'm not really attacking or judging. Everyone is doing the best they can. I'm not trying to target any individual. What I'm saying is that as a community, we need to wake up and realize this is not enough. You can't just read a hadith from Imam Ridha and after 14 centuries, just go and mention it in the previous form. Why? Because Imam Ridha expected us to do some work too. Imam says, Rahimallah abdan ahya amrana, that revives our affairs. It's not just to come and share the same thing. You have to go deeper in it, think about it, reflect on it. The way I see it is this. Imagine a wealthy parent has given their child a massive inheritance, right? Millions of pounds. And now they're telling the child, see, this is the treasure we're giving you, millions of pounds, large amounts of wealth. Now go take care of this. And what would you think if after, for example, 40 years, 50 years, that you saw this kid who's inherited this money at a very, long time ago, and you say, okay, what have you done with the wealth? You were given such a great opportunity. People start with nothing and create fortunes, but you were already given a fortune. You must have achieved a lot. You must have, been able to do so much. So what did you do with it? And he says, well, I've kept it. I've kept it all here, I've kept all of the The money they gave me, see, I've got it all in here, and the rest of it is that safe in the house. You didn't do anything with it. You didn't invest. You didn't do any, for example, businesses with it. You didn't support anyone. You didn't give charity to anyone. You kept all of it from 40 years ago in a safe. By the way, that may just show how ignorant I am with financial issues. I don't know if millions of pounds could be kept in a safe. Probably not. Or that has to be a quite large safe. So just ignore that bit. But do you get what I'm saying? If you've been given a massive amount of wealth by your parents or grandparents, or if you're one of those lucky people who has an aunt, very old aunt that you've never met, and they pass away, suddenly you get a lot of money. After 40, 50, 60 years of being with that, people expect you to have done something with it, to have achieved something with it, right? Now, of course, I know, even if you keep it as it is, it's much better than a person who's lost it, right? Because people can start with a fortune and end up with nothing. So even keeping it is better than losing it. So that part, I think we've done well. We've kept our tradition. We've got volumes of books of our ahadiths. This is beautiful. It means that the treasures that the Ahlul Bayt gave us, we've kept it, at least for most parts. Because unfortunately in history, well, some of our libraries were burnt. We've been through so much. We've lost some of the treasure, but we have a great part of it left. However, the other part, which means that, okay, now you've got a treasure, Bismillah. Jumpstart your career, do something with it, invest this, make it more, This part, I think we need to do much more, especially now that humanity's knowledge in all sorts of areas has increased. We have so many tools, we have so many more opportunities for going to this treasure and try to benefit from it more, try to reflect on it more. We have more tools, basically, of enjoying and benefiting from our tradition and then helping others receive the same advantage and benefit. I don't know if you're following our Spiritual Saturdays or not. We have them live on Instagram and later on they go on YouTube. One of the nights I discussed one line from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali in Munajat Sha'bani has this beautiful line in which he says, إلهي لم يكن لي حول فأنتقل به عن معصيتك, or ليس لي حول, either ليس لي or لم يكن لي حول فأنتقل به عن معصيتك إلا في وقت أيقظتني لمحبتك. Imam Ali there says a line which I've said many times. God, I don't have any strength by which to rid myself of my shortcoming or to distance myself from my addictions, from my shortcomings, from sins, whatever, from disobeying you, oh God. I don't have any strength to do that unless in one situation. And that's when, God, I feel loved by you. Right? When I feel that love, when I feel your love. إِلَّا فِي وَقْتٍ أَيْقَظْتَنِي لَمَحَبَّتِكَ. I feel this love. I love you, you love me, this kind of situation. When this love comes, Imam says, then I find the strength to improve myself. Okay? So the topic in that Spiritual Saturday wasn't just reading this line, because I'd read this line many times in my previous lectures. What we were discussing that night, which I want to share with you parts of it, was this idea that, okay, Imam Ali alayhi salam gave this to us centuries ago, 14 centuries ago, okay? Since then, how have we tried to use this capital, use this treasure, and create more wisdom, create more wealth, create more knowledge? Have we reflected upon it? Try and see, how does it work? Why is it that love helps with a person improving themselves? That's a very good question. Right now, many people who want to change, for example, on the night of Qa'dah, the person says, you know what, I've been living this way, I've had this issue, this problem, now I want to change, I want to stop it. How many of them follow the prescription of Imam Ali? which is if you want to create a sustainable, everlasting change, not a change which is temporary, because a lot of change is temporary. You have it for a few weeks, it goes. For a few years, it goes. Imam Ali says the prescription is love. You have to feel love. Okay, how many of us we follow this prescription? Very few people. Very few people. And by the way, this prescription is for everything, even for weight loss, even for diet, right? Now, why is it that we're not following it? Because it doesn't really, we don't really understand it. What's the link, for example, between feeling God's love and letting go of, for example, a bad habit that I have, maybe watching certain websites a person does, or maybe anger, or maybe an addiction they have, or maybe addiction to a substance, whatever they're into, whatever shortcomings we have. A person will say, what's the link between love and this? No, in fact, I'm a bad person, so I should be scared. See, after 14 centuries, we still haven't managed to unwrap Imam Ali's crucial, important prescription for change. We're not acting upon it, and we don't even know why Imam said that. What's the link between love and change? So, not only we haven't opened it up, we're not even following it, right? Ask yourself, when was it ever that you wanted to create a change in your life? There was a shortcoming, a sin, whatever, and you thought, okay, let me refer to Imam Ali's prescription that I cannot create sustainable, everlasting change unless it's through love. And then you try to think about that. Now, if you actually wanted to do that, then you would be faced with a lot of questions. What's the role of love? How come love creates change? What is the, so there were so many questions. Why is it? Why did the Imam say that? And now, in that lecture, I tried to open this up, right? And in order to open this up, I had to use the wisdom and knowledge of many great people, many of them non-Muslim. Right now, there have been so much studies psychologically on the role of, for example, feeling accepted, on the role of, in the role of feeling a certain amount of, love in order to change. There's so many great studies done that shows why is it that if we want to change, we need to first experience being accepted. It's a very interesting thing. If you want to change where you are first, you have to feel accepted. It's very interesting. There are so many studies done. In fact, that night I was referring to the book by one of the psychologists who says, I've spent decades, I think 30 to 40 years, of seeing people, helping them try to make their life better. Let's say, for example, they're dealing with alcohol addiction. The person says, I try to help them overcome that addiction, make better families, be more loyal, be more strong in their family. He says after 3 or 4 decades of doing this for people, I kept a lot of notes, and he said he had also recorded many of his sessions with people because he's done a lot of therapy, 3-4 decades. He said, I decided to go back and look at my notes and also listen to these sessions that I've recorded and try and see in which sessions or in which kind of environments between me and the person that I was helping, I feel like that environment was facilitating their growth or their improvement more. And he also asked his colleagues if it's okay to share their notes with him, so he is benefiting not just from his own experience, but also the experience of his colleagues. And he says, I spent countless hours and hours and hours on trying to see in which kind of dynamics between, for example, the therapist and the client, or between a person who wants to help. It doesn't even need to be a therapist. It could be a parent and their child. It could be between a partner who wants to help the other partner, for example, overcome a certain mistake, overcome a certain addiction. It says, I try to go through all of this and see what are the qualities that has to be in this relationship so that the environment created between these two people facilitates their change, facilitates their growth, right? And he says one of the most important qualities there was what? Unconditional positive regard. And he explains it. He says, what I mean by unconditional positive regard is not that I am happy with whatever you've done. So for example, if you come to me and say, you know what, I'm hurting my partner, it doesn't mean that I'll be happy that you're doing that. No. Unconditional positive regard means that whatever your past has been, whatever experiences you've been through, I accept you as a person and stand with the side of you that wants to change, that wants to improve. You may have done actions which not just me, even you don't like, but that doesn't make me stop wanting to be there for you and help you. And no matter what you've done in your past, no matter what kind of actions you have, I'm going to be here, making myself available to you, helping you so that you overcome your demons, your addictions, your bad behaviors, and improve and change and become the person that you can be. This is unconditional positive regard. Unconditional, why? Because no matter what you've done, I still want to help you, you know? In fact, if you've done worse things, I would need to help you more. I would want to be there for you more. And then he goes into a long discussion on why is it that unconditional positive regard is very important for a person to change. Okay? Long discussions. He started this discussion in the 1950s, 1960s. Until now, there has been a great amount of literature, a lot of people studying why is it that a person needs to receive unconditional positive regard, a kind of acceptance despite their actions in order to change. There are so many reasons. We don't have much time left today, so I can't really go into the reasons of why is it. I'll just speak briefly about one of them. See, and by the way, I hope by now you notice what's the link between this and what we were discussing earlier on, right? We know, I was reading to you the line from Imam Ali, إلهي لم يكن لي حول فانتقل به عن معصيتك إلا في وقت أغضتني لمحبتك. God, I have no strength to change myself, to improve myself, unless I feel love, unless I feel accepted. And do you see that, unfortunately, as Shias, we left this beautiful formula for change for 14 centuries, we let it go, until some other people, after many centuries, they came and they tried to pick up on this theme and they're studying it. What is the role of feeling accepted and loved in changing? And now it's one of the core conditions for counseling. It's one of the core conditions for some forms of some modalities in therapy, like the person-centered therapy, right? So do you see what I'm trying to tell you? That our Imams gave us a massive amount of wealth. We let it go. Some other people came, picked it up. They're doing a lot of research on it, right? And now the interesting thing is the research can actually help us understand how much wisdom there was in what Imam Ali had taught us. And so the reason why I mentioned how many hours and years that therapists spend time on trying to understand what is the environment that can help people change? Why is it that acceptance leads to people change? He spent 3 or 4 decades thinking about that. The reason why I'm mentioning all of this is so that we see that the job, the act of creating knowledge, of what did Imam Ridha said? رحم الله عبدا أحيا أمرنا يتعلم علومنا ويعلمها الناس. That blessed be, well done to, may God have mercy and love on the person who revives our affairs, learns our knowledge and shares it with people. I said all of this to show you this is not an easy job. It doesn't just mean go and memorize and share it with other people in the same way that unfortunately many times we do. No, maybe for one line of their knowledge, for one hadith, you need to spend 3 to 4 decades of your life to just open it up. Right? I hope my point is clear now. I'm just showing this is not an easy task. This is a challenge. It's an adventure. And the beauty of it is this, that you're not a passive person in this, right? Because that's a little bit boring too. What's my job? Memorize and share. Well, all right, I'll do it. It's a little bit boring. Like a computer could do that, If that's what it means to, revive the affair of the Ahl al-Bayt, it's a little bit boring. A computer could do that much better than me. Memorize it and share it, In a few years, probably they can even create holograms of a lecturer sharing all of it beautiful with better accent than everything. What's the bloody point of me? No. Imam is saying you're an active agent. Your role is very serious. Your role is very active in passing this wisdom that they've given us to the next generation and even to our own generation. There's so much work that you need to do, right? You have to go through this tradition, see which parts of it inspires you, and then go and explore there. Maybe there's 1 or 2 lines that you could spend your whole career on. Go and study sociology to understand it better. Maybe 1 line inspires you to, you know what I mean? In the same way that I told you this psychologist spent 3 to 4 decades just working on one idea. In which environment, in which relationship between 2 persons, therapist, client, parent, children, partner, God, and a person created by God. What should be the relationship between them so that as a result of that relationship, this person feels more energy and more courage to improve themselves and become a better person? He spent his whole life thinking on this one point. And it created a wealth of literature on the role of love and acceptance in creating change, right? So this is how I try to link the hadith of Imam Ridha and the line from Imam Ali alayhi salam as well. See that line, one line from Imam Ali, Ilahi lam yakun li hawlun fantaghala bi an ma'siyatik. We could have worked on it 3-4 decades. There's so much wisdom there. Now another point is this. Once you open up a point, a hadith like this, you open it up, you explain the reasoning behind it, the way to implement it in different relationships, the way to create this, right? Masalan, Imam Ali says, I need love of God in order to change. Okay, how can we create this? What's the reason behind it? How can a parent do that? How can a child do that? How can a lecturer do that? How can a therapist do that? The same hadith can be used in different settings. And you have to go research on all of this, think in all of this. And this is your role. This is our role. And it makes our role more active because the Imam is basically saying that, see, we haven't finished the job for you. You need to think. You need to use this. You need to manifest yourself. Think. Be an active part in this tradition. Your job is not to listen and share. No. Your job is to take it in. Think about it. Use your own opinions. Use your own wisdom and make it better. Put it out there. Let other people think about it. It's a very active dynamic. And then we'll get to better places. And then once you do this, once you have this attitude, then the result of it is that the line, which right now is in Arabic and or with a very terrible English translation, it's like just one line, for example, in Munajat Sha'baniyeh, it becomes into a whole way of life. Right? Masalan, Ilahi lam yakun. If we'd done our job well, it could have turned into a way of life which had prescriptions for therapists, for parents, for partners, for siblings. And it would have, and you could even have studies to back it up, to show its impact on how people can change, how it helps with addiction, how it helps with weight loss. And by the way, these studies are already done by non-Muslims. So I'm saying, if we'd done this, then everyone would have been saying, okay, I love this wisdom. I don't know what Sha'ban is. Imagine you would tell your friend. Anyone, if you'd shared this wisdom in this way with them, anyone would have loved it, would have accepted it. They wouldn't even know what Sha'ban is, what Munajat Sha'baniyya is. Maybe they wouldn't even know, for example, who Imam Ali is. But they was like, mate, I don't know who this person you're telling me is, but what he said is so wise, I like it. I want to follow this, which is what Imam Ridha said. فَإِنَّ النَّاسِ لَوْ عَلِمُوا مَحَاسِنَ كَلَامِنَا لَاتَّبَعُونَا. If people knew the beauties of what we're saying, they would have loved it. They would have followed it. Obviously, because it would have helped them have a better life. Right? So this is our job. Live the tradition and find ways that it can help us have better lives and have other people have better lives. Because no one would resist having a better life. Right? Okay. I had prepared 5 more hadiths from Imam Ridha to discuss, but I feel like I've already spoken more than my time allows. So that's a little bit sad. But maybe we can pick up this discussion later on. Inshallah, maybe in another occasion we can open up some of Imam's other hadiths. Just a few last points, because I don't want to just leave a little bit, So, Alhamdulillah, that we have been given so much wisdom by the Ahl al-Bayt. It's really a blessing to have access to this. And believe me, it can help us so much more. It can make our lives so much easier. All we need to do is to do 2 things. First of all, take them seriously. And secondly, take ourselves seriously. What do I mean by that? Know that we are not passive receivers of a tradition. No. The Imams wanted us to have an active role, right? The tradition has to come within us, become part of us, and then through us shine in the world. Through our thoughts, through our experiences, through our reflections. In the same way I told you that psychologist spent 3 or 4 decades of his life taking that taking 1 or 2 lines in and living it for 3 or 4 decades, and then give it back to the world. So every hadith, every line of the dua is an invitation for us to live them in our life. And as you live them, so many questions come for you. So many challenges. You reflect on the challenges. You'll have so many opinions. So by the time, for example, that you've lived that line or you're reflecting on it for a few years, you have enriched it so much more. It's like you received an inheritance, but now you've made it into much more wealth. And that's the role that Imam Ridha expects us to do. So that's one thing. And the last thing that I wanted to end with, although this is not the whole concept of our lecture, but just because we spoke about the role of love and acceptance in creating change, have this in mind for yourself as well. We need to feel accepted in order to change, and have this in mind, not just for yourself, but also if you want to help someone, if you want to help your child, if you want to help your partner, if you want to help a sibling, or a friend even. We need to give people this, as Imam Ali alayhi salam said, this idea that no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, I'm here for you, I'm willing to help, and I will always stand by the side of the part of you that wants to grow. You may have another part as well that wants to sabotage your growth, that wants to create obstacles in the way of your growth. But I will always be here, and I'll always stand by that side of you that wants to grow. And one day you'll realize that that is actually your true self, the part inside you that wants to grow. Now, just one last thing, because I want to bring this back to Imam Ridha alayhi salam again. I'll just mention one of the reasons. There are so many reasons why acceptance, why unconditional positive regard helps a person change. One of them is this. See, many people do not know their own value. They were never treated with respect. They were never treated with love. Or maybe they were treated with love in many aspects, but in one aspect they were bullied. They didn't receive the love that they needed. So many of us, we don't feel that we are valuable. We are precious. We are worth saving. When you don't feel that way about yourself, what happens? I usually use the example of a phone. Imagine if you have an old phone, maybe it's for example 6-7 years ago, 10 years ago, and now the screen is broken. You take it to the repair shop. The person says, yes, if you want to repair this phone, repair the screen, it's going to cost you 150 quid. And then you're like, mate, my phone is, for example, worth 90 quid. Why should I spend 100 quid to fix the screen? So you would just throw it away or use it like that with the broken screen, right? But imagine if you've got an expensive phone which is 1,000 quid, 1,200. Then if the screen is broken and it costs 200, you're like, yeah, of course I'll do it. Man, the phone is 1,000. Even if I spend 200, still 800. That's beautiful. I'm going to fix it. Yeah, man, fix it. Right? When something is worth high, you pay the cost for change. Right? Yeah, I will pay £200 to fix the screen because this phone is worth it. Now, with individuals, with people, is the same. If I think I'm worthy, I will go through the difficult pain of change, through the difficult process of getting rid of an addiction. But if I think like, yeah, I'm not that much special, I'm not worth it, I wouldn't go through that pain of change. Why? I'm not worth it. And this is not something that we can, just read it. Oh, you're worth it. I'm like, oh, I'm worth it then. No. It's not easy to accept our worth. It's not easy to, this is something that, it should have happened to us when we were children, etc. But now what is the way now for us to feel that, no, we're worth it. We're a soul created by God. A soul that God says even the whole world is not enough to buy this soul. It's so special. It's worth so high. It's really precious. What is the way for us now to understand this, to feel it inside that we're special so that it would make it easier for us to change, is to see it in the actions of others. If my friend, if my partner treats me like they accept me, like despite my shortcomings, I'm worth helping, slowly, by seeing the reflection of myself in their eyes and by seeing their acceptance, slowly, something in me will wake up. My fitra will wake up slowly because I see, wow, this person, despite who I am, they're still loving me, they're still accepting me. And slowly, after maybe months or a long time of seeing that there's another person who, despite what I do, despite my past, they still stand by me. They're still trying to love me. They're there for me to grow. Then slowly, something wakes up in the person. They wake up to their own worth and value because they don't feel it inside. They have to see their own value reflected outside. And once their value, slowly wakes up in them, like, oh wow, maybe I am worth saving. Maybe I am worth changing. And then their journey of growth starts. And now I want to finish by the line from Imam Ridha, because this is exactly what Imam Ridha alayhi salam was saying as well. That ma halaka imra'un arafa qadrah. A person who knows their worth will never reach a bad end. A person who knows their worth will never suffer, will never perish. Do you see how beautiful it all linked together? So that is the role of love. That is the role of acceptance. Through accepting an individual, or through feeling accepted by God, accepting God's love, will slowly start to wake up to the idea that we are worth saving. We are a very expensive phone, and all the shortcomings we have are just a crash on the screen, and we're worth saving. Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry. I think I spent 10 more minutes than I was given actually. So apologies for that. I hope inshallah you have a splendid day, and enjoy sweets, and see you inshallah in another occasion. That's it. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
ای سلطان کرم سایت روی سرم باز آقا به طلب که بیام ای سلطان کرم سایت روی سرم باز آقا به طلب که بیام به حرم شور و حال منی در و بال منی تو خیال منی دادی تو منو را بگدا یه نگاه که تو مال منی
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا نبي الله. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليكم يا أئمة البقي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا أبو الفضل العباس وأختك زينب وبنتك سكينة. السلام عليكم يا شهداء كربلاء. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولى وابن مولى. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء السلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك يا فاطمة المعصومة ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
बना दे मौला, मुझको इस दौर का बहलोल बना दे मौला। मैं आज़ादार हूँ, कफ्श बरदार हूँ तेरे खुदाम का।
صحن گوهر شاده عشق میکنم، با پنجره فولاده عشق میکنم. بگو صحن گوهر شاده عشق میکنم، با پنجره فولاده. گدای تو منم از همون قدیم، منو ببر به روزای بچگی. گدای تو از همون قدیم، منو ببر به روزای بچگی. تو رو میخوام تب و تاب زندگی. یا امام رضا با کبوترای تو، آقا خیلی سال منوسم تو رو که ندیدم هیچ وقت، عوضش سریع و میبوسم. عشق میکنم با صحن گوهر شاد، عشق میکنم با پنجره. گدای تو منم از همون قدیم، منو ببر به روزای بد. بگو میخوام تب و تاب زندگی. یا امام رضا، یا امام رضا با کبوترای تو، آقا خیلی سال منوسم. بگو با کبوترای تو، تو رو که ندیدم هیچ وقت، عوضش سریع و میبوسم. عشق میکنم، عشق میکنم. عشق میکنم کبوترم تو دامت. عشق میکنم با چی؟ با چوب پر خدامت. کجا داره سحرای صحن تو؟ خدا بخواد میبینم بازم تو رو. تو به کسی ندیدم بگی برو. یا امام رضا قصه من و چشمات یه کتاب معجزت آقا، که نوشته توی هر صفحش فدای سلاله زهرا. عشق میکنم با صحن گوهر شاد، عشق میکنم. عشق میکنم تو لحظه دیدارت، عشق میکنم کنار این زوار. دیگه نزار که ازت جدا بشم، صدا بزن منو تا رها بشم، کبوتری واسه کربلا بشم. یا امام رضا، امام رضا، عاشق اول فصلم، سر سفره اول فصلم، عاشق اول فصلم، سر سفره فصلم. مادرم بهم گفته گره خورده اول فصلم، گره خورده اول فصلم، عاشق اول فصلم، سر سفره اول فصلم، عاشق
توی آقای من، توی مولای من، توی امید من، توی ارمان من. توی آقای من، توی مولای من، توی امید من، توی ارمان من. من فقیر شما علی رضا، توی سردار من، توی سلطان من. من فقیر شما ای علی رضا، توی سردار من، توی سلطان من. جان رضا جان، 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 جان رضا جان. روح نبی نور شبیر و شبر ہے وجہ خدا تیرا چہرہ، تیرے قدم سے بنا ہے گلستان دو عالم کا سارا یہ صحرا. روح نبی نور شبیر و شبر ہے وجہ خدا تیرا چہرہ، تیرے قدم سے بنا ہے گلستان دو عالم کا سارا یہ صحرا. تیری کی چوکھٹ کی مٹی پہ کرتے ہیں سجدے فلک کے ستارے، خورشید کو بھی ضیا بخشتا ہے تمہارا یہ گنبد سنہرا. جان رضا جان، 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 جان رضا جان. کیسے دیکھیں تیرے زوار کبھی بدحالی، تیری دہلیز سے جاتا نہیں کوئی خالی. کیسے دیکھیں تیرے زوار کبھی بدحالی، تیری دہلیز سے جاتا نہیں کوئی خالی. لاکھوں پروانے لاکھوں پروانے تیری قبر کا کرتے ہیں طواف. کعبہ اہل مودت ہے تمہاری جالی. ایک پل بھی زائرین سے خالی حرم نہیں، دیکھا کسی نے بند وہ باب کرم نہیں، دھتکار کر کسی کو نکالا نہ جائے گا، یہ روضہ امام ہے باغ ارم نہیں، اس کو خوشی یہ ہے کہ بلایا امام نے، ہرنی کو اپنے بچوں کی فرقت کا غم نہیں، جان رضا جان، 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 السلام علیکم یا غریب الغرباء، السلام علیکم یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء،